Hey, everyone. It is your favorite CEO, Miss Flo, back with a brand new episode of Neon Mike, where the conversation just glows. Today's guest, I had a pleasure at meeting at one of the Plus Ultra parties like a while back. Actually, I think you were the first drag queen I actually tipped.
Oh,
Yep,
I'm
yep.
flattered.
I have Rose Evergreen. Oh, wait,
Hey, it's
is it
me. Crowd goes wild.
So I'm so glad to have you on your show. We've been kind of like bumping into each other at random like
Yeah.
cons and things like that. And then of course I've been watching you on Twitch. Like you are a
hmm
full gamer Twitch personality that I enjoyed watching, especially election night, which provided some comfort. I take
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just
Head
like
nod.
just together, just kind of watching the results, and it was kind of better than just kind of just watching CNN and yeah. So one, thank you for being on the show,
hmm
and how have you been since the the election?
Well, hey everybody. I've been doing well, doing good, just adulting as usual, adulting slash drag queening. So, how have I been since the election? I mean, at this point, it is what it is. I'm just focused on putting myself in positive spaces and doing things that make me feel good, and that's going to be my formula to get through these next 4 years. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that's like a good mentality to have after that, and I would just say, how did you get into streaming or like being on Twitch?
How did I get into streaming? So, I've been a video gamer my whole entire life. I remember video gaming is kind of a big thing in my family. It's not just like me. Like, I remember I have this one photo of my dad playing Duck Hunt while snuggled up with my mom when I was pregnant. So, well, not when I was pregnant, when she was pregnant, when she was pregnant with me. So it's kind of been in the family for a while. So I've been gaming my whole entire life. And one of my favorite video games is Super Smash Brothers. And I want to say it was around 2018-ish. Nintendo held an event at E3 where they had like a big Super Smash Brothers tournament. And I didn't even know competitive Smash Brothers existed. I didn't know that there was competitive players. So I started searching some of the players up online after I saw that event. And then it kept saying Twitch, Twitch, Twitch. I'm like, what is this? So I went on there and I saw that it was like a live streaming thing of people playing video games. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And so I started getting into Twitch a little bit. And then around the time the pandemic hit and I was sitting at home all day doing nothing, I was like, okay, I gotta occupy myself somehow. So I started streaming. Yeah. So that's how I got into it.
Yeah, I think that's the pandemic has really changed the face of entertainment because if we couldn't be together in person,
hmm
this was like the best way that we could still all be connected and just preoccupied our time as we are dealing with this bizarre reality.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you were able to still thrive after the pandemic. You have been very, very busy. I do follow you on social media, and on top of being a gamer streamer, you are a fabulous drag queen.
A fabulous drag queen.
As as your motto is like, you look like Beyonce to sound like Jay Z.
Yeah.
It's just like, how did you start your drag queen journey?
Journey. Yeah. So growing up, well, it's kind of a thing. Like gay people, we usually have our divas we idolize, right? Like back in the day, they used to idolize Madonna or Cher or, people like that, Diana Ross. But for my generation, it was Beyonce. I'm a huge Beyonce fan. And I always would like watch her concerts. I would see her live. And I remember I would do this thing where I would like pretend I was her in my room with the door locked because, nobody can see me being Beyonce, right? And I thought that was just a me thing, just living my diva fantasy for the sake of living my diva fantasy. Um, Around 18, I went off to college. I came out, and I want to say a month or so into me being at college, one of my friends invited me out to a gay club for the first time. And every queer person can tell you going to the gay club for the first time is just like mind blowing for like, being in this world where there's so much stigma, just going in there and being loved and accepted. It's mind blowing. So I saw, guys dancing with guys, girls dancing with girls, and I also saw drag queens. And the thing was like, I was a little ignorant to drag queens at first because I thought that they were all just transgender women performing for the sake of, entertainment and LGBT nightlife. But, I pulled back the curtain on it. I watched RuPaul's Drag Race. I started hanging around more. And I learned that, no, some drag queens, like, you can actually just be a regular guy and transform yourself into a diva for the sake of entertainment. And then once you're done, you take it off, synonymous to like doing a Broadway show, playing your character and just taking it off and just going about your day. So once I saw like that was an option, that's when I realized I wanted to be a drag queen. Because going back to what I said earlier, I would always be living my diva fantasy in secret. But now that I found an avenue to live it like in the real world, it's an actual practice and a thing. That's when I realized I wanted to do drag.
Oh, so like, did you have a drag mother, someone to coach you do this? Like, who's your drag mother?
Yeah, I actually did have a drag mother, and it's really interesting. Him and I went to high school together. I was a freshman when he was a senior, and it was like a private Christian high school where we had to pray every day. So, nobody was out the closet, but it was very clear he was gay. It was very clear I was gay. And I remember when I went into my sophomore year, he went off to college, actually, the college I went to as well. And he started doing drag himself. And, that was kind of gossip around school. They're like, oh, you remember that guy? Oh, he's a drag queen now. And, stuff like that. So once I got to the point where I realized I wanted to do drag, I kind of felt like those fish in that scene on Finding Nemo when like they're in the bags in the ocean and they're like, okay, so what do we do now? Like we're here, we made the, what do we do? So I just sent him a Facebook message. Never really talked to him before. We didn't talk when we were in high school together. And I said, hey, I'm actually trying to try out drag. I saw you used to do it. Do you think you can give me some tips and help me out? And he said, sure, come over my place and we'll figure it out. So I went over his house. He put makeup on me for the first time and gave me my first dresses, jewels, nails, everything. And ever since then, he's just been that drag mother figure in my drag journey. And he is probably one of the most important people in my life. So,
Oh, I
yeah.
just love how like small the world is, because the fact that y'all came from the same high school, met up years later, and started that connection in college. Like, I'm so glad that you were able to have that support system, especially if coming from, like, I would say, like a conservative background.
Yeah. Hmm.
So like, it's really great that you were able to have that strong foundation.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of Beyonce, one, did you see the Super Bowl? Not, I was about to say Super. It could have been a Super Bowl performance. But
Yeah.
did you see the halftime show uh, on Christmas Day? And then, how much of Beyonce do you incorporate in your repertoire?
Yeah, I did see Beyonce perform. I'm always going to see her perform. I've been going to her concerts ever since I was like, how old? 17, 18, every time she comes to town. But yeah, it was definitely a family situation. All of us gathered around the TV and watched her do her thing. So I'm excited to see what she has in the future. She put out that date of January 14th. So whatever she's doing, I'm front and center. I'm ready. But when it comes to like how Beyonce influenced me, it was just I would watch her stage presence. I would watch how she would pose on the stage. I would watch how she would interact with the audience. I was just so inspired by her. And that's basically like all the different things I took from her. And what's really interesting is that we're probably going to get to this at some point, but when I performed at TwitchCon that one time and I walked out on the stage, it was like a silhouette situation because they didn't turn on the lights, and I hit a pose, and everybody was like, "Oh, that pose was so fierce and it was amazing." That was a Beyonce pose that I saw that she did in her concerts all the time. So she's definitely had her run around and working the stage. She knows what angles look good. So it's been me being inspired by those different things and just bringing them into my performances. Yeah.
So yeah, she could definitely do a master class on just stage presence alone.
Yes.
Like, she just has that certain star quality that you don't. It's very rare.
Hmm.
Like, in like once in a lifetime that you get to see that type of performer, and I'm so glad that she's like served as a blueprint for you. So speaking of which, like, what do we expect to see at a Rose Evergreen show?
So if you come to see Rose Evergreen, get ready to dance, get ready to drink if you're 21 plus, and just get ready to have fun. My whole thing with entertainment is drag is that I just want the audience to have fun, right? Life is so hard. Like you said, there's so much going on in the world and everything. When people come to a drag show, they're usually in a place where they just want to have fun. They want to get out their seats. They want to get rowdy. So if you come see me perform, expect my high heel to end up on your table Expect to get brushed by my wig when I walk past you, you know, expect for me to pluck you from the crowd and make you twerk or something. Like I just get the whole audience involved and I have a lot of fun doing that. So just expect a good time.
Oh, that's awesome. So,
Hmm.
like, what I try to do now is actually speaking to a lot of entertainers, but I want to like re-emphasize theater etiquette because
Hmm.
I feel like that's kind of lost. What I've kind of seen on social media. So, what are the do's and don'ts when coming to a drag performance?
That's a really good question that not many people ask. The do's, I would say, do's have fun. Don't sit there like questioning if you can get rowdy or get out your seat. Like have fun. Tip us. Like when it comes to drag, we make most of our money from the tips we get from people. Like of course we have our booking fee we get from the venue, but that's a really small amount. It's not that much. But when people hold out the $1 bills, that's where our real money comes from. So definitely tip us. Um, those are the main two things. Have fun, make sure to tip us. The don'ts I will say is don't disrupt our performances. Performing in nightclubs and stuff, some people have one too many and they try to hop up on stage with us, or interact with us too much to a point where it's disrupting the performance. So definitely don't like do anything that's distracting. Furthermore, one big thing that I really want people to stop doing: do not bring anybody to a drag show who does not want to be there. Don't do that, okay? Because we as drag queens, we can pick up on people's energy, and if we're dancing around and everybody's having fun, but we get to your table and we see that one person making that sour face or looking at their phone or trying to act like they're not at a drag show, that can kind of disrupt our vibe a little bit. And I've seen a thing where girlfriends will like bring their boyfriends and be like, oh my god, if I pay you $20, can you like mess with him, like maybe come over and do a little bit. And I'm like, if he's not looking for that, he's not looking for that. So I would say don't bring anybody to a drag show who doesn't want to show up. And if you are surprising somebody who hasn't been to a drag show before, make sure it's somebody that knows the vibe, that's willing to have fun, that won't be sour the whole time. So yeah, those are the don'ts.
And that's fair too, because it's like I've been to a couple drag shows and the energy there, I would just say it can be great for all ages. Like I went with my mother one time and of course with the drag queens, they always like to go with the classics. So you got the Gladys Knight,
Hmm.
all the classic
Whitney
70s.
Houston. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you would have a ball like if you're really like a fan of music in general. You
Yeah.
could have a good time. But you also have to understand, like, if you have that one introverted friend, leave them at home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it is very interactive. You know,
Hmm.
so don't like put them in that uncomfortable
Yeah,
situation.
it's very high energy. Like it's not going to be a calm situation like I'm reading a book to a room. No, like we're dancing, we're jumping in splits, you know what I'm saying? Shots going up. We're having fun. So if you're not vibing, it may not be for you.
What was the worst experience that you had performing? If you want to share that.
No, the worst experience I ever had performing in drag. I would say I had this one experience where I was supposed to do a drag show. They wanted me to come out and do a drag show, and there was nobody in the audience. Like nobody showed up at
Oh,
all. Yeah, like nobody showed up, and it was super awkward. And they were like making those Chuck E. Cheese smiles, trying to act like it wasn't a failure, but nobody showed up. So that was probably the worst experience I had. So yeah,
did you
can't
still
perform
get?
without an audience. Yeah, they still gave me my pay, but it was a little, irritating on my end. It's like because getting up in drag is not easy. You got to do your makeup, put on your body, put on your titties, put on everything. And then for me, I do drag in Washington, D.C. So driving into the city and parking and walking to the venue with my suitcase and my bags just for there to be nobody there, it's like, I could have still been in the bed in my second dream. So that was it.
Um,
Yeah.
well, hopefully, do you still work with them, or
No, no, they
you just
disappeared
like
into
that was it?
the ether after that. They gave it up. Yeah.
Okay, fair, fair. What are some tips that you have with either like drag or just putting on makeup in general?
Um, for anybody who wants to start out with drag, I would say take your time, and you're not going to look beautiful your first go round. We live in a day and age where everybody wants to be amazing at things quickly, but no, you got to take your time with things. Like when I first started doing drag, I looked like a gremlin with a dress on, right? But through practicing makeup and taking tips and being in the dressing room with other drag queens who have been doing it for years and years, I eventually got to a place where I did reach that fabulous standpoint when it came to makeup and hair and costumes and stuff, but it takes time. So that would be my biggest word of advice is just take your time.
And what brands do you use the most in terms of makeup?
I will say one brand that's really underrated that drag queens have been wearing out for years is Black Opal. Black Opal, I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I see it all the time in CVS.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like super affordable. It's like a foundation stick that most of us use, and we use most of their products because they're super affordable and they're good. So when you see like a drag queen in a show and they look super fabulous with all this makeup, don't always think we're wearing like the most expensive like Chanel and Fenty, all that different stuff. There's a good chance they could probably have on something from CVS, but Black Opal was definitely our go-to.
Well, I would first of all, one, I would like to see more of you in your shows. Do you have any upcoming shows?
I don't currently have any upcoming shows. I'm just, finishing out this new year, getting ready for 2025. I will say that my focus right now is really kind of transition to music. I really want to take some time to just focus on that because music has always been one of my biggest passions. But if anybody wants to see me perform, the best thing that they could do is just follow me on social media. And anytime I have a show, I make sure to post it on there.
Oh, that's right. You did release a Christmas list
Yeah,
recently.
Christmas list. Yeah.
And like, how's that experience for you? Like being in the studio and making music.
Music is my everything. I mean, music is my absolute number one. Is it okay if I take you on my little musical journey really
Okay,
quick?
sure.
Yeah. So I started piano lessons when I was 4 years old. And obviously, at 4, not much learning is happening, but my hands were on the keys and I was making noise. And I continued piano lessons up until around 16 or 17 when I reached that high school age of wanting to hang out and party. And so I had like classical training, and then I went into college as a musical theater major. Didn't really work out, and I knew that I always wanted to be somebody who entertained and stuff. I just didn't necessarily know like what angle I was going to get into it from. So what I started doing is when I was in college, I just started writing songs and um, you know, just writing songs, experimenting with different type of music recording technologies and stuff, but I never really put anything out. So I continued to songwrite and everything, and eventually, wait, no, I want to take it back because I kind of lost myself. You probably caught on. I want to take it back a little bit. Yeah, so piano lessons, but I will say that yeah, when it comes to me getting in the studio, that took some time. It took some time because I needed to get in a place where I was ready to record and I had all my music ready. I had beats and everything. But going to the studio for me now, to just get to the question, it's a fairly simple process. It could seem intimidating from the outside in, but it's a local studio. The engineer I work with is amazing. Normally, I just have a beat, I write my own lyrics, I go in, rap it, and then I sit back and let him work his magic by editing it and making it sound good. And he sends it over to me. So that's kind of the process for me.
Oh, who do you work with?
Oh, the engineer?
Yes.
His name is V Major, and he's at Studio Aesthete in Maryland. Aesthete in Maryland. He's one of the best engineers.
Oh, nice. So, how would you compare like being in the studio versus like performing on stage as a drag artist? Like, how is it like different for you when like,
Yeah.
or you feel more which is better?
Well, the thing about drag, there's room, like when you're performing and doing drag, like there's room for mistakes, there's room for you to slip up. There's like a lot of wiggle room when you're performing in drag. But when you're recording in the studio, you have to be on beat. You have to make sure that your lyrics are good. You have to make sure your rhythm is good. You have to make sure your chorus is catchy. So it's a lot more logistical when it comes to the music aspect. But when it's with drag, there's so many loose ends that you can have with performing in drag. Yeah.
Okay. So, one, I know that we're like running short on time because you have plans for this evening.
We can keep going. We can keep
Oh,
going.
are
I'll
you
let
sure?
you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So what's some of your goals with your musical journey? Like, what's next? Are we going to see an album, EP? What's the plan going into 2025?
2025, I definitely do want to release my first project, whether it be an EP or an album. Fun fact, I've had my first album written for the past 10 years. As crazy as that sounds, like I said, I started back in college just writing different songs and putting melodies to them. So I've had them just kind of sitting in the back burner, but now that I'm in a space where I'm going to the studio and I know how it works and I know how to like get this music made, I'm going to start making all of that music and put it into a project. And in regards to like what I want to do in the future with it, like um everybody knows me as an entertainer being a drag queen, but a lot of people didn't know that I was a musician as well. And music was one of my number one passions. And I wanted to get to a space where I can be an entertainer that's performing my music. I do want to be the Beyonce on a stage. I do want to like tour. I do want to go around and just perform my music. So, for a good amount of my drag career, I was focusing on the performing aspect and visualizing, well, illustrating to people that I am an entertainer, and now I'm just in the space of showing them that I am a musician and a songwriter. And then after I'm done, this not done this phase, but then I'll eventually merge the two and just see where that takes me.
And I hope that it goes far for you because, like, hearing you speak, it sounds like you're truly manifesting it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, like, I'm excited to see what comes about and what blossoms from
Yeah,
Rose.
I've been manifesting this my whole entire life. If I mean, I could tell you the story about how I got into entertainment if you like to hear that.
Oh, for sure.
So when I was young, I went to this one camp founded by this old Hollywood screen siren named Paul Newman, if you know who Paul Newman is. And the camp had different sessions throughout the summer, so people can come at different times. But at the end of every session, they would have a talent show. And like I said, I was playing piano from the age of like 4 up until 16. I was playing full Beethoven pieces by the age of 8 and 9. So when it came to the talent show, I would always play Beethoven or do something crazy. Now, the way this camp worked is that they would pluck the most talented kids from those talent shows throughout the different sessions and bring them together and have them perform at a benefit gala that fundraised for the camp. So I got selected one year to, be in that show. And at this point, I knew I loved music. I knew I loved dancing, but I didn't really know it could be a career. I didn't know like what it could be for me. But they invited me to come out and perform, and I said sure. So I went, and I remember like they knew me to be like a good dancer at the time, and they asked if I wanted to like end the opening number. Like, so I was like, okay, sure, I'll end the opening number. So we did all this choreography, and at the end, it ended with the band just doing a loud bang, like that loud bang when they end a song. And once I got to that moment when we were actually performing, I just opened my arms on that bang. The audience rose up. They started screaming and cheering and going crazy. And I was just standing there in the spotlight. And that's when I realized this is what I wanted to do. And a fun side story is that there was actually a moment where I was playing piano in like one of the back dressing rooms by myself. And this older man came around the corner. He said, "Was that you playing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that was me." He was like, "Oh, that was so beautiful. That was so amazing. Like, that's so good. Like, you got something special. Keep that up." And that person was Paul Newman, right? Yeah,
Oh,
right. I mean, doesn't it give you chills? Like,
that's amazing.
it was amazing. And I remember like after that experience, I loved being on the stage so much because I was kind of I don't want to say I was an awkward kid, but my friends were into sports and all this other stuff. And I was just a kid who liked to dance and move. So everybody was like, eh. But for me to finally be in a space where it made sense and it all came together was just so amazing for me. And after I was done that show, I asked the staff, I was like, if you ever have space for me to come back and do this again, can you please have me do it? Because I had so much fun. And they had me come back 3 different times to do it.
Oh,
And the fun, yeah, 3 different times to do it. And the following year after that, Paul Newman gave me a piano solo during the show. And I remember it was a piano. I had on like, a top hat, a tuxedo, everything, an audience filled with people. And I mean, these are like, people, like people, from Hollywood and people with money, the big donors and everything. And I played a Beethoven piece, and at the end, same thing, open my arms, audience going crazy. And I just was like, there's nowhere else I want to be but the stage. So I kind of kept that out throughout my life and just continued to perform. And luckily my parents were supportive of my musical journey and would put me in music camps and whatever, just kind of fan the flame. So, when people see me perform now and the things I do, it didn't come overnight. Like, it's been all throughout my life, these different experiences that shaped me to be the entertainer I am today.
That's truly a blessing that you were able to experience that, and I think it's a further testimony on why we truly need the arts. Because like, just imagine, because I feel like a lot of times not everybody has access to that.
Hmm.
Because a lot of times some of the camps can be really expensive and
Yeah.
out of reach. So like, I,
Hmm.
I hope that in this coming administration that the arts is somewhat still saved, or someone could like even like those donors can still make it accessible, because there's so many hidden gems, there's so many
There
like
are.
people, and we hope that they would get the same opportunities like you, just to get that level of praise from a musical legend like Paul Newman, like that.
Yeah.
I can understand why that would stick with you.
Yeah, it really stuck with me. And like you were saying, I didn't know that I was good on stage. I didn't know that being on stage was a thing, but it took for somebody to open the door and expose me to it for me to realize this is my thing. So I agree with you that there should definitely be avenues for people to experience different things and in that find what their thing is, you know? And yeah, hearing that from Paul Newman, that gave me a confidence that still like follows me to this day. I mean, getting validation from somebody like that. And I mean, there were other aspects of the show that are also awesome. Like, I got to sing alongside Harry Belafonte. Um, there was Whoopi Goldberg, there was Julia Roberts. It was just so many. Renee Zellweger, I remember her and I had to do this one skit. It was like a fairy tale skit, and I was Little Boy Blue, and she was like, I don't know, it was a fairy tale skit. But so it was like I was surrounded by all this different star power when I was young. But at the time, I didn't really even know who these people were, because these are like, I was young and I was just watching Disney Channel. I didn't know who these screen sirens and big celebrities were. But as I got older is when I really started to see how much star power I was around, because I would be in the movies and I'll be like, wait, that's the guy that or I'd be watching a TV show and I'm like, wait, no, that's the person I dance with. Or but so there was like so many of those moments throughout my life. But yeah, like you were saying, that validation and just being surrounded by so many talented people gave me a confidence that I still hold.
And what advice do you have for someone that may be nervous to be on stage? Because I am part of the fine arts department, and sometimes we have students that kind of get in their own head
Hmm.
and are hesitant to either be in front of the camera or to be on stage. So, like, what are some of the things to help you get in the mindset to perform?
To get into the mindset to perform, every time before I perform, I just take a deep breath and I just tell myself, just go out there and have fun. I mean, that's just the best advice I can give anybody. Go out there, have fun. If you have personality, show it. Just go out there and be your best self, and that'll shine through. If you're nervous and if you're antsy and if you're counting 5, 6, 7, 8 in your head, the audience can see that. But if you're somebody who's just allowing the moment to be the moment and you're present, then that's all you need. You just gotta put yourself out there, and it can be intimidating. I know stage fright is a real thing, but you just got to take that one step on the stage, and then eventually you'll get more comfortable with it.
And that's great advice to have, because I bump into talented individuals all the time, even those that are in the making. And the only thing that's like really stopping you is you.
Yourself, yeah.
So you gotta like let go of that inner saboteur and just like really just go for it. If you really want it bad enough, there are avenues, there are ways
You
to.
gotta go for it. And one thing RuPaul said that I really agree with, he tweeted one time, he said, your fear of looking stupid is holding you back. I feel like a lot of people have this fear of not doing it, like, looking bad or looking dumb or whatever, not doing it right. That's okay. Everybody starts off with rough edges, and then you just, keep going through it and just fine tune your craft. but you just got to take that step and just go for it.
Exactly. I couldn't say it
Yeah.
better myself. Now, speaking of RuPaul's Drag Race,
Hmm.
would you ever want to compete on that show, or you just kind of just like, because
Uh,
the competition is a lot. It's something not to be taken lightly, and it's like
mhm.
it's asking so much of
Yeah.
queens. But would you ever want to compete on RuPaul's Drag Race?
I did when I was like younger. I'm not that old, but I did when I was a little bit younger, like during my college years. But right now, I don't think that's something I really want to do. I want to get bigger in entertainment, in drag and stuff a different way. I just want to try to find my own lane, you know. Because I mean, the show, it's very calculated and it's so competitive and it just goes in so many different directions. And I'm not like really a competitive person or like, I don't think that's my type of thing. Yeah.
And that's fair because you're asked to do so much on the show.
Mhm. I could do it all if I needed to. Don't
And,
get it twisted.
yeah,
Don't get it twisted.
but
JK.
it's just like it's just you have so many talented queens in one space all over the country, and it's just and then sometimes it's like it's reality TV, so it's
Hmm.
like it's very produced. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but I'm pretty sure that you are going to go far in places. You are already blessed to be
Thank
around
you.
so many amazing stars and individuals, and it seems like you have everything mapped out. Like you know what you need to do, how to do it, and when to get there. You already released Christmas list. Like, how was it for you to like release that track?
Yeah, Christmas list. It's actually funny because I recorded it last Wednesday and it came out on Friday, so it was literally a 2 day before project. But I'm in my music making phase and I just listen to different beats and I came across that beat and it kind of had like a Christmas tone to it. And I remember I heard this like months ago, and I remember I kept playing the beat and I just eventually got to the rhythm of like all I want for Christmas is all I want for Christmas is some red velvet cake and some collard greens and mac and cheese to touch on my plate. I just started rapping and throwing stuff out there. And I was like, all right, let's put this out. I was actually contemplating of waiting to put it out next year because I felt like it was so late into the month. I'm like, how can you enjoy a Christmas song 5 days before Christmas? But I was like, nah, that's too long. Just throw it out there. So it was super fun. It was fun in the studio. And a lot of my friends loved it. I'm sure you saw my stories. Like, a lot of people were texting me saying how much they loved it. Some of my friends were dancing to it and like posting themselves, dancing to it and shouting me out. And a couple people even bought it on iTunes. I don't even know if people know that, but you can still buy songs. And yeah, so I mean, the experience was great. And out of all the songs I've done, I feel like that one definitely was one of my better ones.
Oh, that's great. And I think it's
Mhm.
like it's so cool when you release something and then because it's like you have that nervous buildup. It's like, okay, are people really gonna like this?
Yeah, are they going to like
Really?
it?
And
And I'm
then
listening to it. I'm like, okay, this is my voice. My voice sounds weird to me. I don't know, but they loved it.
just to get the like that feedback and that love for
Hmm.
what you do and what you put out there, it's just like that's a really great feeling. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that you were able to experience that.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess like well, I mean, I'm so glad that I was able to talk to you because one, you're just fun to watch on
Hmm.
Twitch, on top of playing some like really big games, whether it's Overwatch or Mario Kart. Like you tell the most interesting stories.
So,
Like it's just like
yeah, story time is a big thing on my streams. Yeah, I have a lot of stories. A lot.
you know what I mean? And I enjoy listening to it because it's just like what people don't understand is like so many life lessons you can learn. Just by hearing somebody else experience. Like what is the craziest story that you have told so far on Twitch?
A craziest story I've told so far on Twitch. Um, there is this one story that I wanted to keep to myself, but I feel like if I want to share it, I'm gonna share it on your platform. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, so Marvel released. Well, they have a drag queen superhero called Dark Veil, And when Dark came out, it was the talk amongst, the drag community, like, oh my God, there's a black drag queen out, whatever. And I remember like I took okay, the timeline is it's a Thursday night, and I just took time to really think, like, what if they put this character in a movie? Like, what if they, like, wanted to incorporate them in a TV show? They would need a black drag queen. And I'm like, that could be my thing, because I mean it's so specific. And I remember I was sitting there visualizing myself on the red carpet and, like, seeing posters of me and, like, friends taking pictures of them in the theater. Like, I'm a big visualizing type of person. And I remember I had that moment on a Thursday night. Then the following Friday night, I went to do this drag show at a bar, a Who's It, What's It bar. I don't know. It was a very small show. It was one of those situations where, like, people were at the bar and they're like, oh, wait, a drag show. And they walked over. So, yeah, I did my show. And when I perform, I don't care if there's two people in the audience. I give my all every single time I perform. I just can't not. It's just not in me to BS. And after the show, people were like, oh, it's so good. And yeah, whatever. And this one guy came up to me and he was like, oh my God, that was so amazing. What's your Instagram and stuff, which is a normal interaction after a drag show, right? So I didn't think anything of it. But the next day I went on Instagram and I saw that he had a check mark next to his name. And I'm like, oh, who is this? And he was a writer for Marvel and DC Comics who happened to be in town that night.
Oh, wow.
True story. True story. And him and I are still friends to this day. So after I had that visualization moment the night before, and then I run into somebody who literally works and writes for the company, that's when, I had a moment. I'm like, okay, let's keep hope alive for this thing. But that's
Yeah,
probably one of the craziest stories I told, you know.
that is just, you have the best luck. Like, you were at the right place, right time. Like, that is just like, that's so cool. And I'm pretty sure he's like on the top of your DM list for sure. Like, just, or
He's
it's close to it, like somewhere in the like, top 5.
Yeah, I mean, but my thing is, like, even when I make, great connections like that, I don't try to spoil them or overdo them. So him and I were good friends, but it's not like I'm DMing him like, oh, anything going on, and
Right.
but him and I, we DM, respond to a story. So I just, keep it human and casual, but the connection is there and it's a great one. So
That's so cool. And I think I've seen you in this cosplay at BlurCon.
no. Oh,
That's
yes, you did. Yeah, you did. I did it at Anime Expo first, and then I brought it to BlurCon. I needed the blurs to see it, but it was the character Dark Veil. Yeah.
that was done. You pulled it off very well. I can see
Yes,
that.
just a little hair, just a little sparkle, just a little heel, just a little nail, all of it.
Well,
Mhm.
that's great. And I'm so happy for you. I'm glad that all these blessings are happening for you because you definitely worked hard at it. And
Mhm.
I just see great things blossoming for Rose Evergreen.
Thank you. It feels so great to hear that because even out of all the things I've done, sometimes I still doubt myself. We're human, we have our moments. So when people validate or say you're going places or nice compliments like that, I truly appreciate them.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's
Mhm.
well deserved. Again, thank you so much for coming onto the show and speaking with me today.
Mhm.
Um, where can people find you on social media?
Well, firstly, thank you for having me. I appreciate, being on your platform. People can find me on social media. My Instagram is rose.evergreen. My Twitter is Rose Evergreen TV. I don't really use Twitter too much. And my Twitch is just Rose Evergreen straight across. So you can find me on there.
And how often do you stream?
My relationship with streaming now is casual, so I don't really have a set schedule. So the only thing I can encourage people to do is set a notification from my Twitch so that when I do go live, they can see I'm live and just chime in. But I don't have a set schedule.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
make sure that you guys tune in, subscribe. You will have a great time. And as well, Rose actually does allow you to like play. So if you just make sure that you subscribe, and of course you will put up the codes and the invites um,
Hmm.
to actually participate.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely love playing with viewers and having people come in and just find community on my little Twitch space. So. Mhm.
So make sure you guys pop in. You will have a great time. You will not be disappointed.
Oh, oh, do we have time to talk about my TwitchCon experience? I just remembered that.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sorry, y'all. But I want to say one of the most transformative moments in my journey as an entertainer was probably when I performed on the main stage of TwitchCon. So everybody knows what Twitch is, and they have a TwitchCon every single year. And one of the years they decided to start a drag show on the main stage of TwitchCon. And they put out an ad for it. I put in my stuff for it, and they called me, said, We want you to come out here and do it." And I went out there, did the performance on the main stage, broadcasted live from Twitch's Twitch, tens of thousands of people watching. I got it, like, the crowd up and they were going crazy and people cheering, and it was the energy was just so electric and it was so much fun. And I say that was so transformative because I really truly wanted people to understand that entertainment is something that I really want to elevate in. It isn't something I want to remain local in and just do small things. Like, I really want to push myself to be as high as I can be. And I feel like that moment of when I like told the crowd to stand up and everybody was going crazy and the energy was insane is when I myself realized I'm on my way, and also everybody else who's been following my journey realized I'm on my way as well. So that was one of the best moments ever. So thank you, Twitch.
Oh yeah, for sure. And just to see like how much drag has become mainstream, and the
Yes.
fact that they are basically taking you nationwide. And as you
Mhm.
said, like you just don't want to just stay within the DMV. You are looking to expand, you're looking to grow.
Yeah.
So that was so cool of Twitch. And do you think they'll have you as a regular or for the
I think, well, what they do is they usually try to have new people every year for the show. I mean, if they call me back, they have my number, they have my info, you know. Um, but yeah, that was a great moment, and I've just been expanding. I've traveled to different states trying to do drag shows, and I even went out the country 2 years ago and performed in drag. So it's like I'm just trying to take it wherever I can, wherever I can. So
and we'll definitely be watching. Thank
yeah.
you so much for coming onto the show and
Mhm.
sharing your amazing stories. And see how you guys glowed from that conversation. I'm gonna catch you guys next time. Bye.